we are going to break down the ring swing, which looks as follows. It's essentially a kip in the rings where we move from an arch position to a hollow position, back and forth. Now, having a good ring swing is something that I've found a lot of athletes tend to underestimate, whether that is getting your first muscle up or trying to be able to string more muscle ups together. For the person trying to get their first one, having a good ring swing is going to allow you to generate more momentum, which, if applied correctly, which we're of course going to teach you, is going to make it much easier for you to get your first ring muscle up. Additionally, if you're trying to string more muscle ups together, having a good ring swing, which also means an efficient ring swing, is going to mean that you use less energy to generate the momentum required. And if you're using less energy per rep, well, then it stands to reason that you're going to be able to perform more reps. So it's important. And now we're going to go through the important elements to keep in mind if you want a good ring swing. And the first thing is that you want to make sure you're jumping up from directly underneath the rings. You know you've jumped up correctly if once you've jumped up, the rings are not swinging. They should still be directly underneath where they are tethered to the rig. From there, we want to get our ring swing started, and we'd like to get into the nice big ring swings straight away. One of the easiest ways to do so is to lift your knees as high as you can, kick your feet out in front, and then swing them back. And this often has us off to the races performing nice big ring swings. When you are performing your ring swings, some elements that we're looking for, or rather the first big element that we're looking for, is two banana shapes. We're looking for a banana shape in your hollow, and we're looking for a banana shape in your arch. Pretty simple. Some common mistakes that athletes make when it comes to the hollow position is that they pull back on the rings too much. We want to try and keep a relatively relaxed grip. And again, we want to try and hit this banana shape, which means that we should have our arms relatively in line with our head, not pulled back behind us. Additionally, we also see athletes who lift their hips in the hollow position and end up in, instead of this banana shape, in more of a front lever shape, where their shoulders, their hips, and their feet are in line with each other. And that is not an optimal position to drive your hips up from. So you want to keep them down a bit. In the arch position, again, you want to be careful with your arms. You don't want to push those rings too far in front of you. You should see them, again, be a part of this banana shape, and again, relatively in line with our head, if not slightly behind our head when it comes to this position. Additionally, other mistakes that athletes sometimes make is that they bend too much at the knee, or, this is not necessarily a mistake, but something that we might need to work on, they lack upper back mobility. When it comes to the majority of the things I've just mentioned, essentially everything except for the upper back, it tends to be something that you simply need to become aware of. You need to film yourself. You need to check whether you're doing these things, whether you're hitting these shapes or if you're in some kind of other position. And you need to practice. When it comes to the upper back, maybe you need to dedicate a period of time to simply working on improving that upper back mobility. One thing I will say is that I have been surprised by just how big of an improvement athletes can actually make in this area by just taking 5 minutes before they jump up into the rings to work on loosening their back up. And often they're able to hit, if not perfect positions, much, much better positions when they do so. Finally, what we want to see, and this is slightly more subjective, we want to see a smooth swing from one end to the other. And when I say smooth, one way to think of it is that we don't want to see any crazy changes in momentum. So I shouldn't be accelerating forwards. I should be accelerating backwards. And additionally, we don't want to see all of a sudden an athlete becoming very stop-start. We should see, again, this smoothness, to repeat myself, moving from one position into the other position. So, get to work, and once you've mastered the ring swing, it's time to move on to the next part.